It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer, and this is the one beer I've genuinely been really excited to get my hands on at the Lidl Craft Beer Festival of October 2021. It's a 10% ABV Imperial Stout by Love Lane Brewing Company, based up in Liverpool, in the Baltic Triangle of Liverpool in the UK. I've never seen a 10% ABV stout before, Imperial Stout before, in Lidl. Part of their beer festival. I'm very excited by this. It's the most expensive beer I've bought in Lidl. It came in at £2.49. I got my fingers crossed for this one, I really have. I think this is a real experiment for not only Lidl, but Love Lane. To see if people will bite, see if people will spend £2.49 on a beer that's 10% ABV. I can guarantee you, some people have picked this beer up from the shelf. They've looked at it, thought that looks pretty good. What's an Imperial Stout? I mean, we're talking about, you know, people who may not know too much about beer. They've turned around and they've gone alcohol 10% and they put it straight back on the shelf. I can guarantee that's happened. And I can guarantee that Lidl have really pondered whether this is the right avenue to go down. But Tesco have done it. Morrison's have done it. Sainsbury's are now doing it. So I think they've been pigeonholed into, like, we have to do something slightly different. But then you'll have the people of intrigue, people like me, who really like beer. And then just general people who are intrigued in stuff anyway and go, actually, I'm going to try that, 10% ABV. So without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass, see what we get. Nice levels of carbonation on the can opening, beer in the glass. I'm going to give this a bit of a rigorous pour, 10% ABV. I'm not expecting this beer to have a massive head on it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Have a listen to that. Hear that carbonation, that hiss, that fizz, loveliness going on. The head's dissipating as we speak. The beer is jet black in the glass. Jet black. Slow moving carbonation. Small bubbles which indicate, I was always told by an old brewer, the smaller the bubble, the better the beer. It was a two-finger tan coloured head. It's dissipated now quite quickly. You never really expect an Imperial Stout to have a great big head on it anyway. If you've opened one of these and poured it slowly and there's no head, then there's nothing really to worry about. The alcohol dissipates the head. As soon as it gets to about 8% ABV, the alcohol will dissipate the head very quickly on a beer. I'm very excited by this, I really am. Let's get the aroma. There's no light bleeding through, first of all, on this beer. It's jet black in the glass. Let's get the aroma. Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's not shouting roasted malt at me from the aroma. It's not shouting chocolate coffee caramel. Well, then the second aroma did. Oh, it smells brilliant. It's like a little bit of kind of a nuttiness coming through. Biscuitiness, nuttiness, a little bit of vanilla coming through. Ooh, I'm quite intrigued by this. I'm not going to keep you waiting any further. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Ooh. Ooh. Well, that's oh, just a bit of licorice. It's got a nice creamy mouthfeel. Then it kind of just finishes with a little bit of licorice. It's slightly odd. Slightly odd, like they... I hope they haven't. Hope they haven't. Oh, that's really weird. Oh, I went into this beer review like dead excited and building it up, and oh man alive, what is this? I think they brewed... I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to come out. I know some... Right, there was a style of beer back in 2011, 2012. I know because I brewed one myself with Sharp's Brewery down in Rocking, Cornwall. The people who make Doombar, I went down, I brewed a beer with them, and we brewed a black IPA. And there was a few accusations about the beer. There was a few accusations about brewing a normal bitter type beer and then dyeing it black with some food dyes. Ooh. Bit controversial, this one. I think this might have happened here. I think Love Lane have cheated here, massively so. Which would be kind of shocking, really, wouldn't it? Unless you know what you're talking about. Unless you know what an Imperial Stout is. If you're watching this and you bought this knowing what an Imperial Stout should taste like, and you're drinking this going, what the blimmin' heck's this? I think this is a 10% barley wine style beer where they've used the cheapest malt possible and they've just dyed it black. Which, I mean, wouldn't that be awful if that was the case? There is no roasted malt flavour whatsoever in this beer. There is not a hint of any chocolate, any coffee, any caramel. I'm going to call it. I might be sticking myself in a load of hot water here, guys, but I'm going to call it. I'm not going to drink any more of this because I simply don't like it. That is a cheap malt liquor type beer that's been dyed black, and they called it an Imperial Stout, and they're hoping that people on Untapped and people on YouTube and people on Instagram don't buy this beer, and it's just bought by people who've got no idea what an Imperial Stout is, but they've heard of one. They might have heard of one, and they're not in the know as to what an Imperial Stout should taste like. If you are one of those people who've never tasted an Imperial Stout before and tuned into this video, what you should be getting is rich chocolate, rich coffee, espresso-like coffee aromas, caramel aromas. But you're not getting any of that. You're getting a little, well, yeah, some cheap malt liquor style beer that's been dyed black. Terrible. Absolutely terrible, Love Lane. Absolutely terrible. Quite disgusted by that. Quite disgusted by that. For me, that's a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. I'm going to quickly say before I go, this is the Madagascar Vanilla Stout from Donkey Stone Brewing Company, and that is much better tasting. That's a 5% ABV beer. That's a much better tasting beer than that Love Lane Imperial Stout. Much more malt, roasted, beautiful aromas coming through, and it's half the ABV. Shocking, Love Lane. 2 out of 10. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.